Hello, good evening, and welcome to Got Space Game. I'm Dan, and this is your home for indie sci-fi and simulation gaming here on YouTube. So, something a bit different now, we are doing our first DCS video. And I've been playing DCS for a little while now, flying currently here in the F18, it's a fantastic plane. Also got the Vegan, which is brilliant, the F5, not so great. But loving the F18 here. Now, one of the interesting things about the F18 is that it doesn't have a normal kind of ILS system. It's got a TACAN navigation, and it's got what they call a CILS, I think, even though the button here just says ILS. But that only works on aircraft carriers. And at the moment we're about to fly into an airfield, and there is a thick cloud right below us, and it's going not quite down to ground level, but a good way towards ground level. So in order to get our approach, we're going to need to perform an instrument approach. But as I say, it's not an ILS approach. And standard way of doing this, you do a bit of mental arithmetic to figure out what your altitude should be above ground level or above airfield level at various points along the way, and you kind of fix that to roughly get onto a 3-degree glide slope. But that's A, it's tricky to do, it's really tricky to do, and B, it's not very accurate. So yeah, I was thinking there has to be a better way to try and do this, and I came across the idea of what if you designate a target waypoint right at the end of the runway. You designate it as a target so it shows up as a little diamond on your HUD, and then you've got a clear visual representation as you fly down the glide slope of your aim point. So we're going to try that out now. We're going to see if that works. What we're going to do, we're going to set up the approach. We're going to need some information from the F10 map, and we're going to need some information from the kneeboard chart for the airfield in order to try and set up this approach. And you know, there's been other videos on doing these instrument approaches, but actually getting this using the waypoint and designating it as a target, I haven't seen done before. So hopefully this is new. And you know, there's great resources out there for learning DCS. Certainly I'm not going to be going through every single plane like a lot of YouTubers have, but I'm just going to try and cover off some bits that seem to have been missed out by a lot of the YouTubers doing some really good work here. So let's get right on it and set up our approach. So I'm going to open up the F10 map first, and we're going to need the coordinates of our target spot. We're going to program that into the F-18's flight computer. So we're in our F10 map, and our airfield is all the way over here. So we're going to zoom in to the Vaziani airfield, and we're going to zoom in. We're going to land on runway 13. And so what I've done already is I've made sure that the coordinate system that the F10 map uses here is the decimal minutes coordinate system, because that matches up with what the F-18 is using itself. So I've already taken note of these coordinates here: 41.38 north and 45.01 east. So we're going to go back into the plane, and we're going to program those coordinates in as a waypoint. Now we've already got a waypoint set up as by default because this is our landing airfield. So we've already got waypoint 1 set up, which is actually at the center of the runway. We're going to bring that to the end of the runway just by changing the coordinates of it. So I hit the data page and the UFC button, and now I can select the position of that, and we're going to need it in precise coordinates. So we're going to punch that in. That's 41, 38, That doesn't seem to be going in precise coordinates. Let's clear that. Clear. Try turning precise off and on again. UFC, position, waypoint 1. Let's try that again. So it is north. 41.38. Enter. And now we can enter the decimal of that, so that's 2440. And now we're going to enter the easting, so east 4501. Enter, and the decimal is 1390. 1390, enter. And now we have waypoint 1 set up so that it's right there at the very tip of the runway. Next thing we're going to do is program in our TACAN, so we're going to need the kneeboard for this. And we're going to select our TACAN. That's not working. Oh, we're going to select our TACAN here, that's why. And bring the kneeboard back up. And our channel here, we can see from the airfield map, is 22x. So transmit receive 22. We're already on X, so hit enter. And we're going to need to set our course here. So the runway heading is 129 degrees. 129. Enter. And that's set that up. We don't need the kneeboard anymore. And we can now hit the TACAN button and we get navigation. Oh, we've got to turn the TACAN on, of course. Now we can get navigation. There we go. And we're going to also designate our waypoint as a target. And just hit that course switch again. Where's it gone? There. So make sure the course is written here, 129 degrees, and we are good to go. So 129 degrees on the TACAN. Let's just double check that our diamond is there. You can see the diamond in the HUD right up there at the top corner. So that's telling us that when we roll out onto the runway heading, we are going to be there, pointing at the runway. So let's turn towards our heading. I'm going to turn auto throttle off. Try and maintain altitude. Oh, don't need to try. Our autopilot's still on. Turn that off, and we're just rolling out onto our heading, and now we're going to try and align with the TACAN. So you can see we're just heading back towards the TACAN, back towards that course, and adjust the scale on the map so we can see it nice and granular. 5 mile scale, and you can see we're about 20 miles out from the runway. I'm just merging with the TACAN there. And I'm gonna just pull back on the stick and pull back on the throttle. It's also what we're trying to do is get our desired airspeed. We need to reduce, of course, to 250 knots so that we can drop our landing gear. That arrow that's currently crossing our velocity vector, that is the TACAN. So as soon as we cross over that, we want to be pointing at the runway. Let's pull that a bit tighter. Cool. there we have the runway, and we are way above the glide slope there. So you can see that diamond there is down at the 10-degree mark. We've captured our course, but yeah, we need to deploy some air brakes. And let's get our velocity vector pointing down below that diamond, because we've got to bring our course below it. So once that diamond is sort of sitting at the 3-degree mark on the pitch ladder there, then we will be on our glide slope. So we need to descend in order to capture that. We've got full air brakes. I'm actually going to reduce my descent rate just so that I can slow my speed. Throttle's at full idle now, so just gotta try and reduce that so I can deploy my flaps. And my landing gear. That's full flaps now. And landing gear going down as we reduce our speed below 250 knots. Okay, with that done, I'm going to go back into my dive, and we're going to try and capture that glide slope. I'm going to turn my radio altimeter on, because we want that radio altitude. Go way above the glide slope here. Trimming to get my on-speed angle of attack. And let's turn our landing lights on. Whoa. And we have overflown the runway. Missing the approach here. So we're going to have to recapture that. That seems to be some sort of a building that we don't want to crash into. We are climbing, and very little visual reference outside. So what happened there, I was coming in way too high, because I never managed to get that, get down slow enough. I just had far too much kinetic energy. We're just gonna fly out against the runway heading. And try it again. While I'm flying against the runway heading, I'm just gonna sort out my angle of attack.
Altitude.
I'll try and get that on-speed angle of attack there. And then we'll pull back in. onto our desired course. We're just trying to get the E-bar, the E-bracket rather, lined up in the HUD, about 10 miles around from the runway. So let's turn back in. I'll take off some of our speed, a bit more throttle, just so that we can not lose any altitude here. Turn. And we should see the diamond coming back into view. Still got our gear down, still got our flaps out. Not the best way to do a go around, but hey.
Altitude. Altitude.
We'll roll back out onto the runway heading. And there is our diamond. And that's nicely on the glide slope, so we're going to put our velocity vector down. We're going to fly right a bit to try and get exactly onto the runway heading. Get that on speed angle of attack using trim. Gone a bit too far the other way, so trim down. Bit of throttle on it. Trim nose down a bit more. There we go, we're on our angle of attack. The arrow for the TACAN course is almost dead above our velocity vector. Gears down, flaps are down. We're on speed. We're on the glide slope. We're flying directly towards the runway. Making small adjustments here, both to the throttle, just tiny roll adjustments to make sure that I stay on course. And on that glide slope. Not going to see the runway until really the last minute, because I'm not going to radio in. We're not getting them to turn on the lights. We're doing this entirely on trust. Simulate those horrible low visibility approaches. Trusting our instruments. I would be doing this in thick fog, but the fog, as I think I said, seems to be quite buggy at the moment. DCS just makes everything look weirdly bright. We don't want that. So we're just doing it in pitch black night time. So you can see we're off to the side of the runway a bit. Of course that gets more sensitive. Begin to see taxiway there. Of attack. There we go, that's the runway, runway 13. Ah, I've ballooned. Okay. Gonna need some heavy braking there. Full air brakes. There we go. We've put her down on the runway, on runway 13. Following our instruments right to the last minute when we could see the runway in our landing lights. And that is the easy way to do your approach in absolutely horrible runway conditions, weather conditions. So I hope that's been helpful. I've been Dan. You've been watching Got Space Game, and let me know in the comments below if there's any more DCS things that you'd like to see. I'd like to make more DCS videos. I'd really like to make them. And so yeah, if you want to see anything in the F18 or in the Vegan or in the F5, I guess, then let me know and I will make those videos. Have a great evening.